Hey everyone, Pat Mesiti, and I know, super early. Met some relatives, and I just felt really stirred in my spirit that I needed to speak to you at this point of time. 6 a.m. It doesn't matter; these things go viral anyway. And I want you to hear me because Scott Morrison is either more confused than a termite in a yo-yo, or he tells people what they want to hear according to the environment that he is in, which makes him a chameleon. Or number three, he blatantly outright lied to the Australian people. Or number four, maybe the good Lord's given him a good smack around the cheek and humbled himself. This is what he said in church Sunday morning at the Victory Church. Great person, Margaret Court. No negative comments about Margaret. Great woman of God. But this is what he said, and it's online. And I quote, "We don't trust in government. We don't trust in the United Nations." Hang on, Scott Morrison. That is not what you said in May of last year. That is not what you told us while you were pushing the globalist agenda, the jabathon that made us, or gave the goal of the likes of, Brad Haddad and all that there in New South Wales, the dream of becoming the most inoculated society. You followed a globalist agenda and now you tell us not to trust? That's exactly why people voted you out. Because you speak with a false tongue. And look, I believe in redemption. I believe everyone involved relies a second chance. And then he goes on to say, do we still believe that God has a plan? Yes, God's got a plan for everybody. But let me tell you something about God's plans. You choose. You choose. You choose the plan, Mr. Morrison. You chose the plan for this country. You could have chose a plan for good, but no, you chose a plan for evil, for a globalist agenda when you came back from the G7. And that annoys me. And here's the message. I had a chance to minister on the weekend, and I was reminded of the song by Simon and Garfunkel. "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again." And it goes on and says, "And in the naked night I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking." There's a lot of politicians out there, they're talking, they're not speaking. And while I'm at it, I'm grateful for the likes of Avi Yemeni and Monica. By the way, the great news that they've dropped the incitement charges on Monica. Monica was a voice to us. Avi was a voice to us. The injustice that man and Monica had, and even myself included, being shadow banned. And I want to say this because silence like a cancer grows. It was as if Simon and Garfunkel were speaking to us now. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. Now they're taking our arms not to reach us, but to control us. It says, but my words like silent raindrops fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon gods they made. Mr. Morrison, you made God out of medicine. You turned medicine into our God. That's what you did. You turned a globalist agenda to the thing that you wanted the people to bow their knees with. Now listen to me, everybody, because freedom is a complex issue. We got a lot of songs about liberation. You go to any church on Sunday and you hear all these Christians, of which I am one, by the way, singing all these military songs of what they're going to do to the devil and how they're going to bring it down and revival is coming. Well, let me ask you, what are you doing, preacher, with your silence? Listen, let me tell you, the church and the body was never meant to be silent. Now, in the same light, many of you have got voices, and I'll get to that at the end. Many of you have got voices and you've got something to say. And you've got gifts and talents and abilities. And while we're sitting here complaining about inflation, and while we're sitting here complaining about the $1 trillion of debt, other people are taking time to take this negativity and take this evil and turn it around. And I'm going to share with you what we're going to do tomorrow. Because tomorrow, I've got a special event on. Listen to me, I'm not done with my talk yet. There is no excuse for you to be financially dependent to the system. But here's what I find. Most people are lazy, darn lazy. They are. They just want to fall out of the sky or something to happen or something to turn around. You've got to take action. Let me tell you something. The likes of Monica, myself, and Avi, we took action. I had a lady the other day put up a stupid post up here Oh, Pat, if you really care for people, why don't you just give it for free? Because in the absence of value, you will argue cost. And by the way, the event tomorrow is free. But let me tell you, I want to make something very clear. Education is not expensive. Ignorance is. Ignorance is. And while people put up these ignorant comments about what I'm doing and what I've done, where do you think the money came from for prayer and pushback and rallies and sending people that were charged by the police to pay for their court and lawyers came from, folks? It came from what I built. And I want to build the same for you. I want to build the same for you. At least come and listen and learn. But listen to me while I've written some things here. You see, we can't afford to be silent. Our world right now, particularly some leaders in Australia, they're brave from a distance. They, as I've said, they put up their BLM stickers and all this stuff about Ukraine, but do nothing and say nothing about what's happening in Australia right now. And believe you me, this war is not over. If you haven't heard, Palaszczuk now is advising, I strongly recommend that you we all heard that before. Pharaoh's strong recommendations become Pharaoh's edicts. Now listen to me very, very carefully. A church or a body of people that is silent is not a body. It's a mannequin. It's lifeless. And I don't care how good they look. You see, silence will lose the very thing you're trying to protect. Today, people's favorite color out there is beige. Now, if you're any kind of believer out there, and I've got believers and non-believers out there, and I get it, and please just hear me, but you'll get this. My favorite color is not beige. It's white hot and blood red. And I know people of all faiths understand that, and people of non-faiths understand that. You see, there is a sad sound of silence. A sad sound of silence. We were never meant to be silent. People say to me, oh, Pat, sometimes you come across angry. Well, of course I'm angry. And if you're not angry, there's something wrong with you. How can you not be angry with what they're pushing on climate change, the transgender agenda? How can you not be angry when a prime minister spends more time on a plane overseas, and Penny Wong? Where are they? They gone missing in action? They blame Morrison for doing the same, but they're doing the very same thing. You see, when they say to you, oh, the church shouldn't be in politics, let me tell you something. Politics and politicians need to stay out of the church. That's what needs to happen. Church and state was never meant to protect the state from the Ten Commandments, because it's built on the Ten Commandments. It was to protect what was supposed to be salt and light from the insidiousness. You see, Martin Luther King said, and I read this the other day, I want to read it again. I never work better than when I am angry. I can write, pray, speak, for through that my whole temperament is quickened. My understanding is sharpened, and all mundane vexations and temptations depart. I believe the fact is, silence, as Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, silence is evil in itself, and not to act is evil. You see, we all know the danger of speaking up, but have you ever considered the consequences of silence? Silence, like a cancer, grows. Silence, like a cancer, grows. And many of you out there, listen to me, beloved, have got gifts and talents, abilities and passions and knowledge. You've lost your jobs. You've lost your incomes. Now, Dan Andrews is saying, all of you that lost your jobs, come and get them back again, until he gets another dose of Pharaohism and then takes away what he's trying to give back to you. It should never have happened in the first place. And listen to me very carefully. You can build something economically for yourself by using this, and not just being speakers and authors, but you can build something online. Listen, the world is going online. I know that shares and stock market and properties are all in a little bit of trouble, but the online world is growing, and you can have a piece of that action. Please never, you can never say, no one tried to help me. Because tomorrow, 11 a.m., and I think it's 6 p.m. at night, I'm not too sure the nighttime one, there is a link here. Click on that link. It will not cost you a thing to learn. We cannot afford to be silenced. You see, silence is empowerment. Silence is approval. Silence is a betrayer of truth. Silence is confusing. We all understand that. When we expected people to speak up and they never did. Why is it now that the former prime minister goes to a church and says, we don't trust the United Nations? Why didn't you say that before? All of a sudden you've had a revelation experience? Or did you know that the whole time? And just like John, listen to me, everyone. People say, oh, Peter betrayed Jesus vocally when he said, I never knew him. Yeah, but John was there the whole time. And John betrayed him with silence. Silence is evil. Let me say this as I bring this to a close. The cancel culture wants to silence you. That is evil. But listen to this statement. When people of truth are silent, preachers, politicians, and everyone else, that is an evil. That's an abomination. And any one of your leaders, church and otherwise, that stayed silent, it's an abomination. And that's a strong word. But what else would you call it? Compliance? Lukewarm? Compromise? The only reason why I've been able to say and do what I say, and I've said this nearly on every rant, is because I don't depend on the system for my income. And I want to do the same for you. Listen to me, tomorrow. Don't just register and don't show up. That does nothing. Don't just take up a spot that someone else could need. Click on the link that's in the beginning of this bio. We're going to help you build. Matter of fact, my great friend David is going to be joining us, and he's told me, Pat, I'm even going to give people products. It doesn't get much easier than that. But see, you say, I don't know. You don't need technical skills. You don't need to be an online guru. You don't need marketing skills. Everything you need, you can learn. Just like I had to learn to speak up. Speak now or forever hold your peace. You see, as then the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and a sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said, the words are the prophets. The words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls and whispered in the sound of silence. Oppression wants to keep you silent. Poverty restriction wants to keep you silent. Government wants to keep you silent. It's interesting now that our former PM, who I pray to God has had some sort of revelation, because every man deserves to change and the ability to change. But why now? Why now? Or was he just telling us what we want to hear? But I pray that not be the case with you. There is a sad sound called the sound of silence. Ungrateful for the Monica, the Tofas, the Joel Jamals, the Cineranks, and Malcolm Roberts. I love what Malcolm Roberts said. If this medicinal procedure, he called it something else, was a television screen that you bought at the Good Guys, you ought to be demanding a refund. Now there's new stuff coming out. The new B1, B plus, B3, B4, B. They're just continuing the same rhetoric, hoping that people will bow. But we refused to stay silent. Tomorrow's going to be an awesome day. I want to encourage you to join us. Be an hour and a half, 90 minutes. It's going to change your life. And listen to me. It's not the mask they're trying to put on my face I'm worried about. It's the muzzling of our grandchildren and children that I'm concerned. And that's why you need to have voice. And I want to help you create your own platform to have voice and be rewarded for it. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Hey, listen, guys, I know this was an early one. Can you share it around? Remember, silence like a cancer grows. Let's not be silent. Let's take some action. I'll see you tomorrow.